Elijah, is it
Yeah,
working?
it is working.
Hey, so I suppose let's just jump right into this. Elijah, tell everyone, I suppose, uh, who who you are. What's up? Who are you?
Well, I'm from North Texas. I've kind of just been doing my thing. I got to get on the way. Uh, Somewhat of a self-made man. You know, I enjoy life. I got a few hobbies. Um, and yeah, I'm a thinker. Pretty creative. Like doing things.
Elijah likes doing things. That's pretty good. So, well, that's cool, man. Do you have a nugget of wisdom, I suppose, for for anyone that you would like to share,
Yeah,
whomever might
yeah.
be?
When you're when you're at a point in life where you gotta make a decision, base it off the forefront of your mind. It's those really big important things you focus on and care about. They'll just your gut instincts. Let those be your guiding force. You'll be all right. Other than
That's
that,
pretty good.
that's.
Yeah, yeah. Um, do you uh, do you want to talk about how we met each other, or do you want that to be veiled in mystery?
We could have that be an entire episode if you wanted to.
I am not opposed to that. Yes, um, well, I figured basically we can have a pretty free format on this whole thing, and not to get too meta and talk about like what exactly it is, but I think the idea here is just a conversation. And as far as conversations go, I find you to be a very conversational type. Um, so let's just jump right into this. There's a few things that I'm super interested in at the moment as an artist that I would like to share with you, and an opportunity for you that you might find interesting that I've kind of held off on telling you until I could unveil that to you. And so there's a few things that I want to share with you. And so, as we talked about previously, we will stop the episode. I'll let you view what I'm talking about. And then we can come back to that and get your perspective on that as a creative person. But until we get to that, which should be extremely exciting for artists and for people who are interested in film, because basically what has happened is the field of art, or the ability for the creative mind, basically grassroots from the bottom up. So it's just like okay, I will hold off on that for a bit, and then just jump right into that. But until that time, how do we want to of course I want to talk about it's a thing called Angel Studios, and it's a particular film using that distribution partner that I'm interested in talking with you about, because I've managed to like follow this dude from the beginning, and it's been super exciting. It's been super fulfilling watching a fellow artist watch his vision come to life. So I mean, um, for me, that's been super exciting. So I'm a big fan of that. But I mean, like I said, let's not just jump right into that. Let's spend some time before we do that talking about some other stuff. So how have you been?
I've been pretty good here recently. I I'm going to the festival Rolling Loud here later in the summer, so that's gonna be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
I don't know what that is.
Uh, do what?
I don't know what that is.
So that's a hip hop festival where there's gonna be some of the biggest artists of the year, of the decade. You're gonna be seeing
Like
some
who?
names like Kanye West, Little Uzi Vert.
Whoa.
Here's a guest introduction from my cat Jerry. She'd like to say hello.
Oh, that's fantastic. Jerry, how's it going?
We're gonna meow from her.
Yeah, dude. Jerry, I would like Oh, I thought that was the cat for a second. Jerry, I would like to introduce you to my kitties who are playing on the screen right now, who are running around the living room right now, all about. So I mean, yes, Jerry, there I have 6 little kitties and dude, they're like climbing on top of a mattress right now. I wish you could see them. They're pretty fantastic. One's like there's a mattress in my hallway that's laid sideways. Let me see if I can take a picture. Uh, there's a mattress. Oh, and he's jumping down. But anyways, there's a mattress in my hallway that's laying like straight up because there was going to be a tornado here, and so I thought I was going to have to jump in the closet. No pun intended. And
Ah,
so the mattress, the mattress is laying straight up. And no, a cat was on top of the very top of the mattress. Good job, kitty. But yeah. So podcasts and things to where people just talk and it's free form and stuff like that. Those ideas and that concept, it was not entirely obvious that that would take off and that that would be a thing that would be something that people are interested in. But what they have found is that people like tune into like 3-hour podcasts, no problem. That people, because people kind of got a bad
yeah,
rap
you
for a
can.
bit.
I mean, you can be at work and you can just be listening to something
Oh
on the
yeah.
side
A lot
in
of
your
people
AirPod or
will,
like in your headphones or something, or you can. I mean, like people have long drives,
yeah,
especially a lot of the people in Texas where they're going through the Metroplex, and
right.
there's times for it. I mean, shit, a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people just you laying down, you know.
Well, sure. And I think how I had heard it explained is that people kind of got a bad rap for being subjected to things that kind of gave them goldfish brain. Like people kind of assumed that people had goldfish brain more than they actually did. It was just something that that our culture had installed in people, but less so than like we assumed that people wouldn't have the attention span, but it turns out that they actually do. We figured that
Right,
out with
yeah,
YouTube
and
and
especially
everything.
when it's a long form type of conversation like I mean, I even remember being a kid watching the History Channel, and that was a TV show, but that narrator was boring as hell, but the content on that to me was even interesting.
Yeah. Um, yes. I think what's kind of interesting about this particular conversation is I mean, this really is free form. There's a few things that I'd like to talk to you about, but again, I'm kind of before we get to that, I just want people to know just the authenticity of the conversation. So I mean, what do you want to talk about? So
Well, I mean, it's legitimate. There's this platform allows this type of whatever you know conversational antics we can get up to, but in the same sense, there's the
we've talked. We've had some
yeah, we've
fascinating
had
conversation.
there's interesting conversations to be had, and especially when you choose a plot point or whenever there can be a focus for anything, or even if there's not a focus, there's it's like I wouldn't say it's a metaphorical gold mine, but we could have there could be a conversation about like a random something, like
All right. Well, let's just jump into the most obvious thing in a few ways. So you are experiencing something that a lot of people have experienced, will experience, do experience. You have a kid coming up. Let's talk about that for a bit. How far along is
yeah. Well, I'm only 20, and
she?
so going into this head first, that was kind of just an all around, well, just like I don't even know how to explain the experience. You go from just being a regular guy one day, just having to take a harder step into adulthood. So with that, there
Right.
comes a lot of not necessarily just first responsibilities, but responsibilities in the sense of like what you have to expect to start doing and what you have to precedents you have to start setting. And like, for instance, I know I'm not going to be getting a house like here in the next 2 weeks or anything, but that's now on my mind. Whereas before, I wasn't really thinking about how. I mean, the house was obviously part of the plan. You're going to do
Yeah,
that,
I'm sure.
but
I'm sure you will get to a point where it's just like you had never thought that you would be concerned about sharp corners. Like,
Yeah.
you never thought that you would, that would be a concern. But yeah,
Yeah, but more
something like
specifically
that.
with this, it's like when this is just such a like a surprise that it seemingly comes out of nowhere. You just, like literally I woke up one day and it's your girl or your significant other and she's just, hey, I have not a surprise, but hey, I have to tell you something. And it's what exactly what it is because I know her, she's not much of a surprise to this person. And so I find that out and it's just like, well, okay, time to start thinking about everything all at once. And so it was a lot of
Right. I, I think
lot of
there's a
thought
lot of,
processes at first.
there might be an inclination for some to try to have a conversation about that. And like, that's not where I'm at. I would like to have a conversation about where you're at now and how to proceed. There are some people that would, probably prefer to have a conversation about how all of this, emerged and everything. Not me. My questions are directly contingent upon where you're going to go from here, what's things looking like from here. So that's of course that's my concern, but or not my concern, but that's what that's
No, yeah, but yeah, you're right in what you're saying. In all fairness, it's one of those things where you go from having to think about one person to having to think about three, and not a lot of people look at it like that, but there's getting the feelings of the other person and then also having to consider the fact of, yeah, and like I said, in this kind of stepping into my life, like I have to meet her family and she'll have to meet mine and we'll have to start becoming more intertwined with each other's lives. And regardless of what kind of relationship you have with the person, it becomes much more of a real life thing that you start having to deal with because of the situations that are involved, much less the fact that there's a child on the way.
right. Yeah, this happened to Thomas here recently. I'm not sure if you ever got a chance to meet Thomas. Thomas recently had a kid. Had a kid named the kid's name is Job, and I just I got to meet with him. Got to hand him some spaghetti. I don't think he's ever eaten hard food before. So it was like I got to meet Job. I got to meet baby Job. So I mean that was cool. And I've been friends with Thomas for a bit. Have you been thinking about names?
We haven't really found out the gender per se, but she agreed that if it was a boy, I get to name it, and if it was a girl, she'd get to name it. And so
Oh,
if
that's
it's
a
a
legit
son,
idea.
if it's a boy, I'm just gonna name it my name. I've already decided, and I can't quite remember what her name was for the girl, but it was a pretty solid one.
Elijah.
Yeah.
Huh. Um, that's neat. Elijah Jr. or the second or just Elijah?
Elijah, just the I guess the junior, but it would be the second. The idea is to start the tradition.
Right, right. Well, that's exciting. And it's a good name too. Elijah's a nice name. But yeah. Well, I mean, dude, like I have the name Roper, and I mean it's got this connotation of like, like agriculture and everything like that, and which is interesting and in some ways ironic because I mean I would that's not necessarily the um yeah. I think when people hear the name before they see the person, I think that's pretty exciting. They hear the name Roper and they're like, oh gosh, like what is this going to be? And I see some dude like wearing Converse or something, or they're or like wearing something that looks like what Harry Styles would wear, just something ridiculous.
Yeah,
So,
I get that.
so
No, but
have you seen
in
the
the
way
same.
Harry Styles dresses? Have you seen the way that dude? That is a fantastically artistic. I saw him
Oh yeah,
on
he's very flamboyant without saying it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think he's ever not wore his mother's clothes. I think like he's only wore like grandmother's clothes, which I find fascinating. Like the dude refuses to wear men's clothes. I like the way that Harry Styles dresses, which is like his grandmother's clothing. I think it's fascinating.
Right.
So I mean that's my ideal, but oddly enough. But yeah, Okay. Well, Elijah, where to go from here? I didn't,
I
we
guess,
have a
do we
little
want to
bit.
go ahead and watch the video?
Well, let's like if you ruin the setup, the setup to get ready for something, I've kind of discovered this as that if you destroy the setup and you just destroy every bit of expectation prior with the setup, then it makes the thing more impressive in a way. It's just like, okay, they're already, disappointed, so but no, let me do a little bit of precluding before you watch it. Well,
I was gonna say, I
yeah,
hate to be rude, but I have to use the restroom.
okay, yes, go ahead and go to the potty. Um, and yeah, just give me a call back after you watch the videos. I will send you two separate videos that I want you to see, and then get your reaction from the videos as an artist, as a person who's interested in the arts, and then just kind of have a conversation with you. What you're about to see, Elijah, is a video. It's a guy who has decided to send his creative project, to send his film vision through Angel Studios, partnering with Angel Studios, which is the parent company, or which is the distribution partner for the Chosen television series, which is the first multi-series television show about the life of Jesus Christ, everybody. And because definitely that. And yes, and then yes.
Are we good to? I really gotta.
No, yeah, you really got to go to the bathroom. So this dude meets Satan. Dude meets Satan. In this video, there's two different videos that I'm sending you. One is the short film. The short film was filmed about 5 years ago, and so that's the short film. Short film was unbeknownst at the time that it was going to become a movie, but then here we are. And then the animatic. The animatic is a it's like a comic book video thing representing a portion of the film. I will send both of those to you, and you go to the bathroom. Hello, is this Elijah?
Hi, yes, it's me.
Elijah, what did you just watch?
So I watched a short film for a movie called The Shift, and then I watched an animatic for the same movie. And the short film basically takes place during a point in the movie where he gets introduced to Satan after pretty much a car wreck, and tone of the movie is pretty interesting. It's right on the edge of like God's Not Dead and like almost a regular movie level of religion, like when he starts praying towards the end of it, it's not like I didn't expect him to, but it's more like, no, this is part of the plot, not
Yeah,
necessarily just him just doing it. You know what I mean?
right,
Obviously,
right.
if you're a staunch atheist watching this, you're going to be cringing at certain moments. That's just your atheism. But for
Right.
everybody watching this, I feel like overall part of the movie, it's like for the people enjoying this, to let's say that the core audience, I feel like it's really honed in on the choices it's made. I guess you can say the Christianity choices it's made, where it chooses to be religious here and there. Like it's got a nice thematic,
Well,
like
the
it
thing
carries
is,
thematically throughout. What? Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Well, Elijah, you watched both the Shift film or the Shift short film, which is certainly one thing, and I think that's what you're mainly referring to. However, um, Elijah, you also watched the animatic, which is, I mean, it gave me like goosebumps. Like it did not seem like it had, because you said God's not dead, which is a thing in and of itself. Um, but that animatic, uh, let's just focus on that for a bit. That wasn't like God's Not Dead, but
No, that
I didn't get.
animatic was
I mean,
the animatic was really interesting because it was more obviously it was just more cartoonish in style, but you really get to see a little bit more of the I don't know the sci-fi elements to the movie, and I'm a big fan of like the premise of what like the whole idea is, but when you see the specific scene of almost like the montage uh um of him going through the dimensions and stuff like that, like that's a really cool moment, and then he kind of gets I think it's right after he gets stuck in the one
right.
dimension and he's starting
And
to be chased down.
words are just tools that we use to try to explain phenomenon. So when you it sounds like to me you're referring to the metaphysics of the film, and that's something that we can talk about, or we can focus on for a bit, or we can uh continue on conversation in a different area perhaps. But yes, the metaphysics of that, of transporting from one place in time to another place in time. Yes, we could talk about the metaphysics of that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, but even in the little short, you get to see a little further into the movie where he's having this interaction with Satan, almost like in like a Matrix sense, where I think they're definitely paying homage to that. But it's really cool, like to get to see the actiony parts of it and to see more of like the
Paying homage to that? What?
homage. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Uh,
I don't.
but you get to see like kind of like the more fast-paced parts of it, and so I thought that was pretty cool in that sense to see like him getting chased down and him seeing
Right.
like the
Yes, the director of it, the producer of it, I should say, which I believe he would wear both hats in this particular case. Dude, it's crazy how, if you like behind the scenes of a movie, it's like this, but like times 100, because you see the entire process. So that's what's so crazy about all of it. That's what's so fascinating, is the amount of spiritual, financial, and like just real life investment that people have in this. But anyways, there's like what the director says is the director says that producer slash director, it feels like two separate things. It feels like it's not even the same film, is how he describes it, which I think is a pretty apt way to describe that, because you
would
can
we
watch
like
the
to
scene in a
for
diner,
the people listening, would
the
we
scene
like
in
to
a
describe
diner
what the
versus
movie is?
do what.
For the people listening, would we like to describe what the movie is or just give a brief summary about what it is pretty much?
It does seem as though you should always play to the lowest common denominator in assuming that people have not seen it. Yes, that does. I would say that is probably the correct way to view that. So I'm handing the mic over to you, of course.
Yeah. So basically, I guess the best way to explain this movie is it's a guy's path, his journey through a few dimensions, and he interacts with multiple characters, Satan being one of them. And kind of like this sci-fi mix of a world where I don't know, like it's a come to Jesus almost, but more for him, just a more like a man versus man story arc, I'd say.
Well, dude, the thing is, though, is I'm going to tell you, I read the script, and the script is even, the whole thing is one huge loop, because it does not, it does not feel like a traditional Christian film. And I mean, the now I just want you to read the script so that you
Right.
would know what
But
I'm
that's
referring to. But
correct me if I'm wrong, but the loop is kind of like playing into the whole like multiple dimensions and shifting and stuff like that.
well, I'm not going to spoil the ending for you. I'm not going to say this is how the movie ends. But yeah, you said come to Jesus, which is like the unfortunate, I guess, truth that any Christian like concedes to. It's like, yep, that's the way. Like that's the, that's he was right.
Right.
So I mean, I suppose that's all Christian stories, but yeah, this whole thing
But I
is,
would say the advantage to this movie is the angle it's being told in isn't in just your super generic like this guy's being misrepresented. It's more of in like the
I would say that the prayer at the dining table would actually be one of the most impactful and meaningful and all those things. However, docile scenes in the entire thing.
well,
The whole
it's
thing
raw.
is
You know what I mean? It's raw. And
the
for a lot of
timing,
people, like just
the
sorry, go ahead.
timing of this, with everything that's played out in the world. The world is basically based in a the most apt current description I can think to describe it as would be the situation in Ukraine. And so I don't know what quite to make of that. I remember this whole thing started online.
Yeah, but I understand what you're making with the parallels to real life in the sense of the places he goes and the more specifically in where he's at that time. How like I don't know that I'm interested to see
I
like
don't know. I have no
how
idea.
Satan plays with all of the and maybe you're right about the script, but how Satan plays with some of the characters because that girl that was just sitting there almost just like cowering in fear was really interesting because she kind of just like that was like I wonder if that was a character choice or if that was like written for her like
Well,
you know what I
do
mean
you want
like
me to tell uh, where the protagonist of the film meets her? He sees her again. You want okay? He sees her again at a mental facility.
oh
That's
is
the
that
next
the
place that he sees her.
animatic
That's their next meeting place in the plot in the
interesting
yes. So there certainly seems to be a uh to those two things. So that to be shifted. I remember his name's Brock. His name's Brock Heasley. I remember when he was talking about it. Um, Brock Heasley, writer. Yeah. I'm sorry. But no, seriously, I think artists do this for each other, and so it's just kind of. I mean, it really is kind of like what it, before this podcast, before this conversation ends, I want you to speak on behalf of all of your artistic endeavors. But anyways, Brock Easley, writer of The Other Side of Fear, as well as Super Fogies. Check that out. Check out the Super Fogies website, which can be found by Google searching Super Fogies, and read his autobiography about his life. And so his dad gets shot 13 times in an armed robbery, and then I don't know if I'm supposed to spoil the ending. That's the thing. I mean it. But anyways, what do you call? Ah, damn it! I messed up the whole thing. Okay. Hey, Elijah, what do you call your dad being shot 13 times in an armed robbery?
I don't know what do you call it
There's only one word to describe it. Cool.
what's that
Cool.
did
Cool.
you say cool
Yes, isn't that some delightful dialogue? Isn't that some fantastic language? Isn't that amazing? That's him. That's him speaking about his dad being shot 13 times in an armed robbery. Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah. So he's yeah, dude. Yeah, so it's all about his unique perspective. So yes, but anyways, what was I saying? Sorry. What was the point?
I think we were
Of course. That's
handing it over to
that's a
me.
right. Um Yeah, I do that a lot in normal conversation. I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna let you talk now. I've been talking for a bit. But I suppose in a conversation with a observer that would be kind of confusing. But
I believe we were talking about the
I forgot.
just parts of the shift, maybe. I'm not too
Hmm.
sure.
Of course, I want to talk about. Of course, I want to talk about the ending of the film. But oh, dude. I don't know. I thought I was handing the ball over to you. I was just like, okay, dude. You go ahead. So
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah. So you do it. You do your thing. What's the
Well,
what were
like
you
kind of as you were
asking
saying
me?
earlier with no,
Sorry.
you're good. You were saying mentioning something earlier about my creative endeavors, and I don't know. I can kind of talk about that for a little bit.
Please do. Yes.
I'm currently in the process of, I guess you could say, starting to write a book. Well, I'm 20, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm wanting to put some pretty decent effort into it because I've kind of talked to you about this, aside, but I definitely feel like I don't know, like I've definitely been the creative that's always I do music, I do other things. I don't necessarily draw or anything, but I'm pretty
When are you
artistic
gonna
because of
release your artwork? When are you gonna release your stuff?
like when it comes to terms of music or
Any piece of art, yes. But
oh
yes.
I mean, I guess that's always just kind of as it goes because I mean, I do have a SoundCloud if anybody's open to look into that. That's we can put that into
What is it? We'll just say it.
we can it's Ray One, but we can just put that in the description of
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
this video.
Ray one, Ray one, um, on SoundCloud. Ray one on SoundCloud.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But like, why should they like do that? Like, why should they go and see your stuff?
Well, they're more than welcome to do whatever they like, but it's it's one of those things where it's just music for everybody. That's kind of the genre that's going out for.
I
I don't know.
listened to one of your songs that you sent me. I do not remember how long ago this was, but um, I told you, I said whatever you captured in that one particular song was is so it's so deranged. It's so hmm.
No, you're
It doesn't
100%
seem
right.
to
I mean,
follow a particular pattern.
whenever I publish stuff or whenever it comes to like what's on my page, it's always been more of like an extension of my like consciousness or creativity. It's always one of those things where it's like, this is what I'd do if I just had free reign to make anything. And that's always what one of those is it's like, this is just capturing a certain, maybe a feeling or maybe a certain thought process or a certain energy I was going for at the time that I was making that. Like there's this one I have called
Yes,
Ohio Synth.
let's definitely make a link to let's figure out what song I'm talking about. I'll try to do that. And
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
well, I want to know more. I want to know more about what you think about what you saw. You said God's not dead, and heaven forbid I just let that slide. You know what I mean? Like, it would be
I
perhaps
totally understand
fantastic.
it.
It would be fantastic. It would perhaps be a fantastic idea for me to just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna let that one go. But I don't even care. Like, it's not like that at all. So I mean, like, okay, the plot of God's Not Dead is some dude that had to have a philosophical uh then it's atheist, like it's
No,
just like
I was just more referring to, when a Christian movie has the title Christian movie, like there's never been a Christian movie that does not include Christian content. Like it's like baked into it. Does that make sense? Like here's the scene where he's gonna sit down and pray. Now, I'm not saying they didn't do it in any certain time. I would actually go and commend them on that. That's kind of what I was getting at earlier. Is what I witnessed was actually probably one of the better parts of you know, like when you've seen a certain scene that's just like a guy praying or a certain part of that, like it made sense for what I was watching. Now, in God's Not Dead, it's more just like this super campy, super like just Hollywood example of like, here's us
I
being
don't even know.
Christians.
I don't
Here's
even
a
know what
movie.
campy means, but it makes a lot of sense. It feels like a good word for that. Like I feel like I've heard the word before, but like I don't. I do
It's a
not know the
drag term,
a what?
a drag term, like a drag queen term.
How did I miss that one? That's fascinating. I had no idea. Campy. Okay, I'm gonna add that to my vernacular.
Basically,
So
it just refers to like not like a not like cliche or basic, but more in the sense of like, oh, that's like exactly what you could have done in the most like practical way. Like
yeah, right,
yeah.
right. Yes. If the manifestation of Satan emerged in the form of that circumstance, that
No, I
would be
thought the manifestation was the
praying
manifestation of
would
Satan
make
was a pretty solid.
praying might be something that a person would do. Like that might be you might come to that conclusion doing that. Yes. So God's Not Dead is not my favorite movie at all. But you know, it's like it's campy. It's campy. It's campy. See what I did there?
Nice. Well,
Branch
for
out.
clarity's sake, I'd say more that I'm not like anybody's defending Gods Are Not Dead, and if they are, they're. I hate to be this way. It's just
Yes, let's please talk about God's Not. Yes, let's definitely do that. Go on.
it's one of those
Yes.
movies that's just like you watch it and you're like, okay, this is what I expected out of a movie titled God's Not Dead.
Yeah, you know, and it took me a while to see this because imagine if the movie would have been produced by atheists. And so hear me out. Hear me out. And so it's written on in big black letters with like paint on like a background. God's dead. And then somebody with red paint as well, really with red paint wrote really small, not. And so it was like some angry Christian. But imagine God's Dead being an atheist film to about some wacky Christian doodle guy that comes in with his tacky spray paint versus their paint and writes not because he's like a Christian. And but you know, those meddling Christians coming this summer, a an adventure. The atheists sorry, getting the okay. Anyways, so you know, just coming this summer, the wacky adventure of God's Dead. God's Dead. But then not written, you know, God's Dead, you know.
Yeah, no, it'd be a trip.
Called
Yeah,
I would
just to
watch it.
see what
I would
they
watch the
attempted
film
doing.
God's Dead. I would watch it. You know.
How much
would you
criticism would it get would be a very interesting question.
Yes, God. Well, man, it's just I, I study this stuff, and so like you know I could like quote a book, like I don't know, but like the thing is like the early Christians were accused of by the pagan religions and various other religions of of being something virtually akin to atheist. Meaning like what are you doing telling this story about when God died on a cross and when he was crucified and everybody's there and everybody saw it, we have a death record, and like you know like why are you talking about that, at least in part, you know, like why is that, how is that a thing, you know? So yeah, the early Christians were often accused by the regions of being something akin to atheists due to the way in which things played out. So it's certainly yes. So the term God's dead would be a would be a word in a would be words in a sentence in a paragraph that would be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm following what you're saying.
There would have been like a headline, you know, like if they had a newspaper back in the day after Jesus died, like the So when he dies, the newspaper would have read, God's dead. That's what it would have said. That would have been the claim. That would have been what they were saying. Historical uh, truism, I suppose.
Well, Roper, is there anybody or anything, any social media anybody can follow you on, try to reach you out at if there's
Oh, oh, well. Do you know about, I mean, because everybody, like so many, like it's like huge. It's like huge. You don't even know. You don't even know. Like how, it's going great. It's going fantastic.
uh-oh,
That
our meeting will end in just got a notification.
What is this?
It says our meeting will end in 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, anyways, so that's just enough time to tell you about it's Bible time. It's Bible time is a thing that I do to on camera, where I read from the Bible. But not like and then he built a thing with the thing. There was this dimension and this size and this shape for 10 pages. So not that because you know it's just anyways, there's the gospel. So there's this thing people don't even know what the word means. There's good news. Okay. There's good news about the bad news, and there's good news about the bad news, and that God was crucified, but he came back, on the third day, and then like spend some time like here, like on earth, like back with, because he wasn't dead. He died. He died, but he wasn't dead. He wasn't dead. He wasn't dead. Like he wasn't, because that would be absurd. Because the space-time continuum and just all sorts of so anyways, he didn't die, right? So and then he's back, and then he goes back again, and he goes back again. He's like, bye, and then he goes, yep. And that's what we believe, and that's what Bible time is. That's what it is. That's what it is. And I read from that, maybe dimensional portals to where it looks two-dimensional in the space-time continuum that we think that we live in, that we agree scientifically where we are at. That location, that is experiential, experiences a certain like dimensions, fourth, fifth, and then there's if you had a gateway to another dimension, it would appear like a piece of paper, but thinner, and then even thinner than that, and then like even thinner than that type portal thing that would be that you need to walk through it. He comes back. He does a back thing. He goes in, and then I also read the story of Job, who just everything that was terrible did happen. So it's just like all the things that were really bad happened, and there's also Jonah. And Jonah was swallowed by a whale, and then wasn't swallowed by a whale because he didn't want to go to this place. He didn't want to go to this place, and God's just like, guess what? Like you're going to this place, and so he's on a ship, and like they're like, and so they're like, more. They decide that the right thing to do is to throw him off. So then they throw him off, and then he gets eaten by a whale, and then it spits him up, right? And then he gets a bad sunburn on his head. The plant grows. Then it doesn't, then it dies. Plant grows real fast, dies real fast. So, one day, but what's a day, right? So, because apparently so, yep. And then, yeah. And so that's Jonah. And then, and then there's Job. And then Job is, he's a guy. He's a guy. And, he's doing a thing. He does his thing. And then not his thing, and then he loses everything, and then all of his friends are just like, well, clearly God's fantastic all the time, forever, no matter what. like you sick, horrible. I spit on you. I spit metaphorically on you because of how God's fantastic all the time, forever, no matter what, always, and so like screw you basically to Job, but like, but like nice and like churchy. And so they're like, and then he's just like, guys, I'm just here. He's just like, look, because it's just like, it's just very depressing outlook on life and death, and just very, very negative. And then God comes down, and then is just like, yo, what do you think? What to be up with you? And then Job's like, and then then it's just like, why are you storm? It's God's a storm. But so then he's a storm, and then Job says something, and the God's just like, hey, Job, what are you thinking? What are you thinking, man? What are you thinking? That this is what he says, quote, not quote, I'm paraphrasing. That's that. Like, what do you think you can do? Do you think I'm just like some type of like small animal creature, like some type of pet that you can give to your daughter, that you can just tie a leash, around my neck, and just like, oh, here's Mr. Foodles. Here's Mr. Foodles. No, because God's a Leviathan. He's a Leviathan that's just monstrous, and just a Leviathan. And so, not like not like a poodle, not like, he's not a poodle, So, and that's the moral. That's not the moral. That's not the only moral, but that's that's what happens. And so he gets his stuff back. And he learns valuable lessons, and throughout the way. Um,
Well, thank you everybody for listening, and
I probably won't keep that. I probably won't keep that in the final cut.